1 year ago, somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, the X-Men are en route to Muir Island. Scott Summers and his team received an emergency transmission.
Made a terrible mistake. We never should have stayed. Now, I think it's too late. We need help. Please!
The transmission came from Jamie Madrox, the Multiple Man. One of their own requires aid, so the uncanny X-Men will answer their call. Approaching their destination, Scott and his team can see that the Terrigen Mist had engulfed the entire island. The Blackbird lands on the outskirts of the mutant research facility. Emma Frost scans the place, but she found only a few minds other than theirs. Scott informs his team that the staff is made primarily of Jamie Madrox and his duplicates. Scott lets loose a few coughs, but he tells his team that he is alright. Entering the compound, the team passes through empty hallways. No sign of a struggle, but blood has been spilled. The next room reveals a cancerous corpse. The X-Men must find out what happened here, and they must find the Multiple Man. Fast. Matsumoto, Japan. Led by Crystal and Gorgon, the Inhumans arrive to lend aid to anyone that will go through Terrigenesis. The Terrigen cloud has been making its way around the world, unlocking superpowers from humans with a dormant Inhuman DNA. It will soon hit Japan. Before, the entire city would have evacuated, but now, only 20% of the Japanese populace departed. The rest are eager to welcome the opportunity to become Inhuman. Meanwhile, in the city park, someone has gone through Terrigenesis. A massive cocoon covers the individual. Masked gunmen arrive on scene. They have been taking cocoons all day. The Inhumans are near, so they must move fast. Oh, and one more thing. Hail Hydra! The ground opens up, knocking the Hydra agents onto their backs. Crystal and her Inhuman family are here. She gives them only one warning. Leave or die. Well, Hydra came prepared. 3 massive gunships close in on their location. Seconds later, a horde of Hydra agents jetpack out of their gunships. They are ready for an aerial dogfight. Back on Muir Island, the Stafford Cuckoos found only one mine is still alive. The team rushes towards the end of the cliff. They find Jamie Madrox and his duplicates. All dead, one dying. Scott ran towards his friend asking, "Who did this?" Madrox can barely speak, but he had enough to tell Scott that it was the Terrigen Mist. It did this. Scott doesn't understand. He needs more information, but it is too late. Jamie Madrox, the Multiple Man, dies in his friend's arm. If what Jamie says is true, then Emma Frost and the rest of the X-Men are already exposed. Scott sends everyone back to the Blackbird so he and Frost can retrieve any research he can from the facility. Moments later, Scott got through to his one-time friend, Hank McCoy. Scott sends all of the data on the Terrigen Mist to the one person that can actually understands this. The Beast is shocked, but he needs to run a few more tests to be completely sure. Help! Cyclops fell ill, and he collapses on the floor. Japan. The Inhumans have engaged the agents of Hydra, but Crystal and her team are on the defensive. A random gunshot stuns the Inhuman princess. The team surrounds their leader, while Flint creates a rock barrier with his powers. Hydra commander gives his agents an order. Light them up! The rock barrier will hold, but Flint is overheating. He can't hold them off forever. Elsewhere, the cocoon finally opens, revealing the Japanese man inside. He is confused and lightheaded. A sudden urge to scream releases an energy field in every direction. Hydra agents freeze still. The barrier comes down. Naga was their only flyer on the team. She battled the Hydra agents until the new Inhuman released something that placed them in a trance. However he did it, it seems to only affect non-Inhumans. Muir Island. Ileana Rasputin and Bobby Drake returns after sending the rookie X-Men to the Blackbird. They are surprised to see Cyclops back on his feet. Something is clearly wrong, but Scott shrugs it off, demanding that he is fine. He also got a hold of Hank. The Beast was able to analyze their data, and it is true. The Terrigen Mist is toxic to all mutants. It killed the Multiple Men and everyone in the facility. Some mutants will react more severely than others, and Hank doesn't know why, but that doesn't matter. What does matter is that the Inhumans lied to Scott Summers. They put their own species before mutants when they released the Terrigen Cloud. As far as Scott is concerned, they killed everyone on Muir Island. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Comic Island. My name is Joey and I'm super happy to come back to a Marvel title after a few months hiatus. I apologize for not covering the Apocalypse War, so I'm gonna make it up to you by following this miniseries event, which will lead into the X-Men vs. Inhumans story arc. So it's safe to say that I'm back with covering Marvel, and what better way to do it than go back to the main team that I love so much, the X-Men. So let's get into what I thought about this issue. For new readers that are familiar with the X-Men, then you will know what's going on, but the random card are the Inhumans. Marvel is giving the Inhumans a huge push in popularity. We have seen them on the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, and they now have two comic series, the Uncanny Inhumans and the All-New Inhumans. Obviously, Marvel Disney is pushing them because of the upcoming Inhuman movie, but we can't talk about the Inhumans without talking a bit about their similarity to the X-Men. They are essentially the same, superpowered individuals that aren't Homo sapiens. So, Marvel decided to pit them against each other, and it all begins with the 4-issue Death of X story arc. There is one thing that I noticed that it makes them different. Mutants struggle with racism and bigotry. This is a whole driving force for someone like MacLeod. But the Inhumans never saw that much prejudice from the norms, and in this issue, they even address the fact that only 20% of the Japanese populace in the city evacuated while everyone else welcomes the opportunity to become an Inhuman. One thing I do love about this story is that it fills in the 8-month gap when Secret Wars ended to the present day Marvel comic book world. We are essentially reading stories in the past. We know that Cyclops didn't survive his encounter with the Inhumans. We know that he pretty much died after he attacked the Inhumans. But what about the other X-Men in Cyclops' team roster? Emma Frost, Illyana Rasputin, the Stafford sisters, Gold Pauls, and Bobby Drake. Emma most likely shared the same fate as Scott. We haven't heard from the Stafford sisters in any of the current X-Men titles. Gold Balls is a new mutant, so I'm surprised he got a bit of the spotlight treatment. It's only Iceman and Magic who we know survives for sure because they are present in the Extraordinary X-Men alongside Storm and her faction of the X-Men. Since this story is told in the past, we already have fractured clues as to what happens. So the challenge for the writer is to keep us compelled even though we know Cyclops and his team of X-Men will lose to the Inhumans. This is very much like the Injustice series. We know the outcome, but so far, after issue 1 of the Death of X, I think the story and the narrative alone will keep me compelled to the very end. I'm going to take us back to Secret Wars in 2015. During this event, Cyclops died, killed by Dr. Doom. He got his neck snapped. Of course, at the end, everything got reset, but as far as I know, no one made reference to their experience during the event as if it never happened. We know a few things, like Old Man Logan coming straight from Battleworld, and the Maestro survived as well. But none of the main cast, such as Dr. Doom, Doctor Strange, or any survivor inside Mr. Fantastic's ship, made reference to the event as far as I know. I do hope that this story addresses that issue, but I'm not holding my tongue. The one thing that I really enjoyed about this issue is Cyclops and his self-righteous mindset. I loved his character during X-Men vs. the Avengers. Marvel did a great job recreating the X-Men Boy Scout into his own man. At first, he reflected everything that his mentor, Charles Xavier, taught him, but nowadays, he looks a lot more like Magneto during his Brotherhood of Evil Mutant days. This makes for a more complex character, and I love how this issue sets up an eventual battle between him and the Inhuman princess, Crystal. She dated Bobby Drake before. The Inhumans and the X-Men were never enemies before, but rather, they were allies. Now, because of the Terrigen Cloud, it is literally life for the Inhumans and death for the X-Men, and Cyclops will again be the face of salvation for the mutant population. We know that Magneto will survive this because we know he lives on to lead the Uncanny X-Men, so this begs the question, where is he during the Death of X story arc? I speculate that he won't be a part of the Death of X, but rather he will be a center-focused role in the follow-up Inhumans vs. the X-Men event. Cyclops is already bloodthirsty, so we know he will take the battle to the Inhumans, but how will the other good team react? The final page shows Crystal welcoming this new Inhuman into the world. He isn't present in the Uncanny Inhuman or the All-New Inhuman comic series, so I speculate that Cyclops and his team will somehow accidentally kill this new Inhuman, leading to Crystal to muster her forces, and the two teams will go at it with everything they got. The one problem I can see with this story arc is the popularity of the Inhumans. Not everyone knows what they are and what their goal is, so if you are watching this video, then I assume you follow comic books. But there will be some of us that have no clue who the Inhumans are. Knowing this, the Death of X story arc could alienate comic book newcomers, and I hope this is not the case, so I want to make sure everyone is on the same page. Now, this is my question for you. Would you like to see an Understanding Inhumans video where I go over everything I think you should know before reading any Inhumans comic book in 2016? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time in another Comic Island video.